everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Sophie and today's video is going to be a read it or unhaul it challenge Fairyloot edition. So before we get into the video, if you enjoy it, please remember to like if you've enjoyed it and subscribe for more bookish content. I post videos every Sunday. So as some of you may know, I was a subscriber to the Fairyloot subscription. I have now unsubscribed. I unsubscribed from the YA box earlier this year and I've now unsubscribed from the adult box. For me, their choices just aren't what I'm into anymore. I'm way more into sort of like epic and high fantasy, and they seem to be leaning more towards like cozy fantasy, romantasy, that kind of thing. I think this box is good if you are new to the genre and you don't know what to read. This is a good way of sampling quite a few different picks. But for me, I know what I like, and the picks I'm just not getting on with anymore. So I've decided to unsubscribe. However, I do have quite a few books from the subscription that I need to get through, so I'm going to be doing a read it or unhaul it challenge. So I've gone through my stack of books and I've got a few that I'm just going to unhaul because they're just, from the synopsis, they're not my thing. And then what we're going to do is there's two books that I'm not going to be including in this challenge that I definitely do want to read. I would have bought them if they weren't in the Fairyloot subscription, but every other book is fair game. I'm going to be reading the first 50 pages, and then if I'm not pulled in, if I'm not enjoying it, it's being unhauled. If I am enjoying it, I'll continue reading it and let you know what I think. I don't know how long we're going to do this for. I think it depends on how many books I'm reading, how much I'm unhauling. I don't want to just unhaul every single book. I do want to give you guys some reviews of books, so we'll see how we get on with this one. So the books that I am unhauling straight off the bat are A Tempest of Tea by Hafsa Faisal. I have read this author's other works, We Hunt the Flame. I did really enjoy it. This just does not sound like my thing at all. It's like tea magic, and yeah, it's just not my thing. I wasn't interested in this when it was announced, and then it arrived on my doorstep in Fairyloot, and I have no interest in reading this one. The next one is the most recent book, which actually kind of made me pull the trigger and unsubscribe. The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. This is like a cozy fantasy. It literally says a cozy fantasy about trying to find yourself and finding a family instead. Perfect fans of Legends and Lattes, A Psalm for the Wild Bill, and House in the Cerulean Sea. I didn't really love The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I have no interest in those other two books. And reading the synopsis, it doesn't really sound like my thing. And I've also somehow ended up with 2 copies of this. They've sent 2 of the exact same box. So yeah, I didn't even want one and I've got 2. This one's going. Next up, we have The God and the Gumiho by Sophie Kim. I've read a few books about Gumihos before, and I just don't really get on with them. I don't know what it is. And like this one, the once terrible Gumhyo, known as a Scarlet Fox, spends her days working in a cafe trying not to let a certain customer irk her. The trickster god, exiled from the heavens, spends his days hunting demons, pining for his lost home, and irking a particular Gumhyo. It's not my thing. It doesn't sound like my thing. And then this one, The City of Stardust by Georgia Summers. I've heard nothing but bad things about this book, and even though it's short, I just don't want to pick it up. I'm not interested. And again, it don't really sound like my thing. For centuries, Everleys have seen their brightest and best disappear, taken as punishment for a crime no one remembers, for a purpose no one understands. Your tormentor is a woman named Penelope who never ages, never grows sick, and never forgives a debt. 10 years ago, Violet's mother left to break the curse and never returned. Now Violet must find her mother or she will be taken in her place. Yeah, I've heard nothing but bad things, and that's made me not interested in this one. And then finally, we have Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsapulu. I read the synopsis for this one, and it just doesn't really sound like my thing. When a relationship is formed, a new thread appears. When a person's life thread is cut, it's their time to die. She's a private investigator, and there's a murder, and yeah, the synopsis doesn't really pull me in. I'm not really interested in this one. So those are the ones that we are definitely unhauling. And then I'm just going to mention the 2 books I'm not including in this challenge, which is The Forest Grimm by Catherine Purdy and Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I was interested in both of these books. I was going to buy them anyway, even if they weren't in the Fairyloot, so these are not on the chopping block. We do want to read these, just not in this video. So yeah, so we've got quite a few to get through. So the first book I'm going to be reading is going to be Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. Now, I've read the synopsis of this one quite a few times, and it always sounds intriguing to me, and I just never pick it up. So we're going to read like the first 50 or so pages, and we're going to decide whether to carry on or to DNF and unhaul. So this one says, Saoirse Sorkova survives on secrets. As the last siren in her kingdom, she can sing any man to an early grave, but her very existence is illegal, and if her true identity were ever discovered, it would be her life on the line. By day, Saoirse disguises herself as a fae, pretending to be the perfect soldier in training. By night, she satisfies her darker urges, working as an assassin for dangerous mercenaries. All the while, she keeps the biggest biggest secret of all, that she's not in control of her powers or her desire to kill. So it sounds interesting. Yeah, we'll read the first 50 pages and I'll come back in and let you know if we're going to continue reading this or if we're going to DNF it and unhaul it. So yeah, let's get into reading. Hey guys, so I'm just checking back in. I did read the first 47 pages of Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton, and I have decided to DNF this one. So I'm just going to preface this by saying I don't think this book is bad, I just think it's okay. This feels like a very generic YA fantasy, which I'm just not really interested in anymore. We've got a very sort of arrogant and, in my opinion, unlikable main character. Like, the world seems interesting, so we've got like Fae, our main character is a siren, there's humans, and there's this kingdom, and there's a barrier, no one can come in and out kind of thing. I don't really feel like the world and the magic system is really explained very well, and I think that's kind of what puts me off. I think my previous experience of a lot of the YA selections that Fairyloot have done, the magic and the world system isn't explained very well, and I can't read it, and like, I'm just not interested. This isn't bad. I think if you like reading YA, you would like this a lot, but it's not what I want to read, and it didn't hook me. I sort of put it down and I was just kind of like, I don't actually want to pick this one back up again. So I am going to be unhauling and DNFing this one, so that's one down for this vlog. Unfortunately, we've got to be brutal. Like, I think I'm going to struggle with this quite a bit because this wasn't bad, but I don't want to force myself through books that I think I'm just going to rate like a 2.5 or a 3 anymore. Like, not that 2.5 is a bad rating, that is average, but I don't want to read average books just to say I've read them. So yeah, this one is going to be going. So the next one we're going to try is The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. I don't know too much about this one. I know that it's based on like Star Wars. When I did read the synopsis, I did think it sounded pretty good. God, yeah, that's Kylo Ren, isn't it, in Rey? Oh. Okay, yeah, we're going to try this one and see what we think. I do have to say the cover is absolutely stunning, so I do hope I like this one, but yeah, we'll see. This one says, Taliesin was left on the steps of a Sardovian orphanage as a baby. All she has ever known is the Hurricane Wars, as her people fight for freedom from the tyranny of the Night Emperor Gihira. But are they truly her people? Taliesin dreams of one day finding where she comes from, her family, and the source of the magic that flows through her veins like sunlight. Alaric of House Ostinast, master of the Shadow-Forged Legion and Jaehaerys' only son and heir, has been honed into a weapon by his father. Tasked with obliterating the neighbouring Sardovian Alfred, Alaric focuses on only one goal: extinguish all threats to the Night Empire with his armies and his shadow magic. Okay, we'll try this one. Let's give this one a go. So, it's barely been 5 minutes, but I'm already back. I am DNFing this one. I don't like the writing style in this one. I couldn't even finish the first chapter. It's so unnecessarily descriptive. Like, I'm literally like 5 pages in and nothing's happened, but like, it's just way too much. I don't like it. Let me try and find an example. Like, despite her eagerness, Taliesin slowed down when she passed by one of the lance corporals who had escorted General Bishima on his diplomatic mission. The boy was pink-cheeked from the cold outside, snowflakes melting on the upright collar of his uniform as he recounted the adventure to a small circle of raptly attentive wedding guests. We don't need to know anything about that boy. It could have just been the lance corporal. When Taliesin joined up 5 years ago, the coxswain's hair had been salt and pepper, and now it was mostly just salt. Like, what even does that even mean? Like, nah. And it's every sentence is like that, and it's just like so overly descriptive, and you don't need to describe the fucking cobwebs in the corner, you know? Like, nah, I'm sorry. I really wanted to like this book, but I also then went on to Goodreads and looked at the reviews. I think it's like a 3.8 average, which isn't bad, but like all the top reviews were like 1 and 2 star, and I was just like, I cannot push myself through a nearly 500-page book when I don't even like the writing style. So unfortunately this one is another DNF. So the next book we're going to attempt for this challenge is The Scarlet Alchemist by Kylie Lee Baker. The principal rule of alchemy: you cannot create good without also creating evil. Zilan dreams of becoming a royal alchemist, escaping her impoverished village in southern China to make alchemical gold for the wealthy so they can stay young forever. But now she scraped a living practicing an illegal form of alchemy, resurrecting the dead for a price. Then Zilan is offered the chance to travel to the capital and complete the imperial exams, facing a series of dangerous tasks that she'll be lucky to survive, let alone pass. The closer Zilan gets to her goal, the more she is caught in the deadly games of the royal family, especially when the crown prince seeks her help, suspecting a coming assassination attempt. There are monsters lurking within the palace walls, and it's only a matter of time before they and the secrets of Zilan's past catch up with her. A stunning young adult fantasy set in the alternate Tang Dynasty China from the author of Keeper of Night. This is kind of giving the same vibes as Sing Me to Sleep. We'll try it. We'll read the first 50 pages and then we'll make a decision. Hey guys, so I'm just checking back in. I have decided to DNF The Scarlet Alchemist. So again, I don't think this is a bad book. This does actually have quite a high rating on Goodreads. I was enjoying the setting because it's set in year 775 China. So like that setting really interested me. It was just the magic system. So this is based around alchemy and like necromancy, and I've read quite a few books about necromancy like Gideon the Ninth, and I can't remember what the other one was called, but I think it was by Beth Revis, and it's just not something that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in it, and because this is about that, I just don't think for me this is going to get higher than like a 2.5 or a 3, and so yeah, that's why I'm going to be DNFing it. I do think a lot of people have enjoyed this book and a lot of people would enjoy this book. It's just not to my personal taste, so I'm going to be DNFing this one. Honestly, all this challenge has proven to me is that I should have unsubscribed from Fairyloot a long time ago. Okay, so I've gone through the pile of books we have left, and one that I think I am actually going to enjoy is The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. So I have read The Bone Shard Daughter by this author, and I didn't love it, but I did enjoy the author's writing style, and this definitely sounds a bit more interesting. So yeah, it just says The Gods Below begins an epic new fantasy series from Sunday Times bestselling author Andrea Stewart, where two sisters find themselves on opposite sides of a war against gods. So yeah, we'll give this one a go, and I'm really hoping I'm gonna like this one, because otherwise I'm just gonna be DNFing every single book in this vlog, which, I mean, it gets them off the TBR, but like it's not really a very fun vlog to watch. So yeah, hopefully I enjoy this one. Hey everyone, so I'm about 160 pages into The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart. It's in my book sleeve, so you can't really see it. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this one. So in this one, we're following two sisters. At the start of this book, there's something called the Restoration. So this is where the gods, the god that rules this world, he literally, like, just realm by realm, he uses these gems to like restore the realm to how it used to be. So everything is like, you know, miserable and the resources are all exhausted and all that kind of stuff. And then as this restoration happens, you know, like the grass starts growing again, the soil becomes fertile. But also, if you're caught in the restoration, you either like die or you like become changed. So what I mean by that is like you can like grow wings, you can grow horns, like you become almost not human anymore. So obviously as this happens, people don't want to take the risk. So as they know this is happening in their realm, they try and escape into another realm and just trying to like outrun the restorations that are happening. So our two sisters are caught just as a restoration is about to happen, and they try and flee into another realm. However, their paperwork, they're not rich enough, everything goes wrong and they unfortunately cannot make it. The older sister tries to escape with a group of miners, and what happens is they actually end up knocking her out. Her sister gets left behind and she's taken into the new realm. The younger sister undergoes changes, and then that's where she is. She's in the old realm, and then the older sister is in the new realm and she works as like a miner, and they go down sinkholes and they try and retrieve the gems because the god needs these gems to do the restorations, and that's like a tithe that they have to pay. Our older sister, who's called, I can't remember the names because Hakara. So the older sister's called Hakara and the younger one is Rasha. So Hakara, the older sister, she gets into some trouble and she ends up working with a group of people who want to take down the gods and stop them restoring the land because they think the restoration is a bad thing. And then the younger sister, Rasha, she's gone through this change and she's got like horns and like she just, yeah, she's going through a whole thing. She enters into kind of like an academy where she's learning to kill gods, but to kill gods that are minor and not the god that's doing the restoration. So the sisters are on opposing sides, but they don't really know what's happened to the other one yet. So it's an interesting premise. The world's really interesting. I'm enjoying this book, so I am going to continue with this book. I am enjoying it. I do think this is kind of like a last chance for this author, because I did read The Bone Shard Daughter and I didn't really love it as much. So I think if I don't love this one, that's kind of it for this author. But yeah, I am enjoying it so far. It's really well written. The world building could be a bit better, but I think as we learn a bit more through these characters, like we're going to learn a bit more through these characters about the world, which I'm fine with. And obviously like one of the worlds is still quite new because it's been restored, so there's that whole concept as well. So yeah, I am enjoying it. I'm just going to take a break and read something else, which makes no difference to this vlog because my next update will still be me talking about this book. So yeah, I'm going to go off and read a bit more.
So sorry for a bit of a change in angle, but I just wanted to come in and quickly mention we've had a few chapters from some other perspectives than just the sisters as well. So there's 2 other characters, one of which we've only had 1 chapter from, so I can't really say too much about their story. But the other one, she's the daughter of a disgraced member of nobility, and he was executed for supposedly stealing money from the sovereign. And she doesn't think that this actually is what happened. She thinks that someone set him up, but she doesn't know who. And over the years, she's been investigating other members of the nobility, and she's kind of determined that the only person who could have actually set her father up was the sovereign himself. So she decides at a party that all the members of the nobility are invited to that she's going to break into the sovereign's study and try and find evidence. Obviously, it just doesn't go very well, doesn't go as planned, and the sovereign actually walks in on her looking through the records and stuff. He offers her an ultimatum where she has to work for him, otherwise she will die. And that's kind of where we've got with that perspective. So we've got quite a few different perspectives. We're going to have a sort of perspective in the government of this world, and then we've obviously got the 2 sisters perspective. So that is actually quite interesting to see kind of all sides of this world, which we don't really often get in fantasy books. So that's really interesting. But yeah, I forgot to mention that in my previous updates. Just wanted to pop in and just quickly say that. So yeah.
Hey guys, so I'm just checking in as I did finish reading The Gods Below by Andrea Stewart last night, and I'm going to give this one 3 stars. So I did enjoy it, but I just don't think that this author is for me. The magic system was really interesting, but also not really very well explained, and I just don't think it's my kind of thing. I don't really know how to explain it, but I was enjoying this book when I was reading it, but I had no desire to pick it up and read it. And yeah, the plot was just really boring. For a 500-page book, not a lot really happened in this, and I'm assuming it's a lot of setup for the next book in this series, which is fine, but this didn't hook me in to want to continue, so I'm not going to be continuing with this series, and this one's going to be a 3-star. And I'll probably unhaul it. And then as I was trying to decide what book to read for this vlog next, I found Sorcery and Small Magics by Maga Ducey. This really does not sound like my thing either, so I'm going to be unhauling this one without reading it. So I think the next book I'm going to read for this vlog is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saff. This sounds like Bridgerton inspired for sure. So it says, in glittery Avalan, nobles attend candlelit balls while unrest brews among the working class. Renowned dressmaker Nymph is tasked with designing the prince's wardrobe for a royal wedding, but the magic in her blood that lets her stitch emotions and memories into fabric is the same magic that will eventually kill her. First and alone, Nymph finds herself drawn to the prickly cold prince, and an unlikely friendship begins to blossom into something more. That is, until an anonymous gossip column is released, exposing their chemistry and threatening scandal. As tensions rise within the royal court and protests rage outside its walls, Nymph must decide what cost she is willing to pay for a future and a love she never thought possible. I think this is YA. I think this is either going to be fun or a very quick DNF, so let's find out.
Hey everyone, so I'm just checking back in. I did start reading A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saff, and I'm gonna DNF this one. I got halfway through the 2nd chapter and I'm just not really interested. There's a little bit of fantasy in here, but it's more of a romance with sort of a little bit of magic sprinkled in, and it's more fantasy romance, and I'm really not into it. And it's YA, and it's just a bit I don't know, I was just a bit bored by the first few chapters, so I'm gonna be DNF in this one. So we've only got a few Fairyloot books left to get through. I don't know how many I'm going to get through in this vlog, but the one that I'm kind of interested in is The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. So this is like a Mulan retelling, I think. So it says perfect for fans of The Poppy War and Six Crimson Cranes, which I both enjoyed both of those books. It says the 3 kingdoms are at war, but Melin's father refuses to answer the imperial draft. Trapped by his opium addiction, he plans to sell Melin for her dowry instead. When she discovers that her husband-to-be is violent and ill-tempered, she decides to take matters into her own hands. The very next day, she disguises herself as a boy and enlists in her father's place. In the army, Melin's hard work brings her recognition, friendship, and a growing closeness with Sky, a prince-turned training partner. But as her kingdom barrels towards destruction, Melin must decide who to trust: Sky, who inspires her loyalty and love, a sea dragon spirit with the power to grant her impossible magic, or an infuriating enemy prince who makes her question everything she wants to know about her kingdom, her loyalty, and her own heart. Yeah, this sounds pretty good, and when this arrived in a Fairyloot, I was quite excited to read this one, so I think we're going to go with this one, and I really hope I enjoy it. Hey guys, so I'm just checking back in. I am now 160 pages through The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song. So in this one, we're following our main character, Melin, and she takes her father's place in a war. So it's very Mulan inspired, and there's a handsome prince that she meets as Meilin, and then she meets again as she's pretending to be a boy called Ren, and it's about her learning combat and things like that to go to war. And then she discovers some sort of like magic, so her stepmother gives her a pendant that belonged to Meilin's own mother, and she finds out there's actually like a dragon spirit in the pendant who like talks to her, and there's like a whole magic system there that we're slowly learning about as Meilin learns about it herself. It's a Mulan retelling, and if you like the Poppy War, I think you'll enjoy this. It's very much like, I think it's after a certain dynasty falls and then the kingdoms separate into 3 kingdoms, I think. From what I remember. But yeah, this is really cool. We haven't had too much of the dragon yet. Like, we haven't actually, it's just the dragon spirit at the moment, but this is really, really interesting. I'm loving the characters in this as well. Like, it's nice to see a good relationship between a character and their like stepmother. Like, she doesn't have a very good relationship with her father for the reasons that are laid out in the start. Like, her father is an opium addict and just doesn't care about the family, and it's nice to see that she's got a good relationship with the stepmother and her siblings. Like, you often find in books they all have bad relationships with each other. And yeah, the side characters, so like Prince Lu, we've met him. He met Meilin as Meilin prior to her going to the war and taking her father's place, and he's also met Meilin as Ren, who she's disguising herself as. He's really interesting. I hope we see more from him and his brother, who's the 6th son, so Prince Lu is the 7th son. Yeah, so we've met also a guy called Sparrow, who's a boy that is in the same army as Meilin. So yeah, they're all really interesting, and yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this one actually. Really surprising, because I thought with a Mulan retelling, I thought there's only so I've heard this story before, which like I guess I have, but I'm hoping that the author puts her own spin on it. But yeah, really, really enjoying this one so far, and I can't wait to continue. Hey everyone, so I'm just coming in to wrap this reading vlog up. I have now finished The Night Ends with Fire by KX Song, and I'm going to give this 4 stars. I think this is a really good start of a fantasy series. The magic system, I think it could have been explained a little bit more. I think because we're kind of learning as our character learns, it kind of makes sense why we haven't got a full understanding. It's just kind of happening, we don't really know why. Characters were all really interesting. I do kind of feel like there's going to be a bit of a love triangle in this, which I'm not a lover of, but I'm not minding too much. And I will say this left on quite the cliffhanger, and I'm very eager to see when the next book in this series is going to be announced, because I'm definitely going to be reading it. But yeah, I really love this one. I really love the world and just like the time period this was set in. Like, our main character was so cool and so strong. Like, she went through so much, and yeah, I just really, really loved this one. So yeah, finally I've loved a Fairyloot book. So yeah, really, really pleased to have read this one. So that's going to be it for this week's reading vlog. I hope you've enjoyed. Comment down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you think, and please don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel for more bookish content, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Bye.